and we've just removed the filter. A quick word of warning, the filter does just pull off the bottom of the gearbox, but it does hold a lot of fluid too, so be prepared for a little bit to fall out. See, it's still draining now. It does hold a bit of fluid, so that's just a quick thing that you need to think about when pulling it out. But that's the filter and the pan removed. We've just got the magnet in here with the bit of sludge on it, but we'll check that out in a minute. So the next thing to do is to pull all this down, give it a good clean, and set it aside. But that's the main part done, and as you can see, there's no mess under the car or anything like that, and things are looking pretty good. So you guys, you see, I'm draining the torque converter now, and you can see that it's just going everywhere, right? So what you need to do is just get a high-tech piece of equipment like a plastic lid and put it underneath the flow of fluid, just to direct it back into the pan so it doesn't spray everywhere, and it just makes things a lot more neater. It's actually, I'm really glad that I put in the extra effort to drain the torque converter, because so much fluid is coming out, and it's actually, the color is actually slightly darker too, so it was worthwhile doing. For you guys out there thinking about doing it, or like you're sort of sitting on the fence, I'd really recommend that you just put in the extra effort to get this job done if you're going to do the transmission, because it's you may as well just put in the extra effort to get it done, because it's I reckon about 2 liters of fluid have come out, maybe even more. It's actually, I'm really surprised how much has come out. Alright guys, so we're back here, and we've emptied the drain pan, and look at this. I don't know if you can see that, but that's exactly 9 liters of ATF fluid in the bucket, and there's around 600 mils. So I've removed 9.6 liters of ATF from the system, which is pretty much everything, and that's just from the draining the torque converter and draining the sump pan. So this is really, really good news, because what it basically means is I've removed all the old fluid from the system. I'm going to check the oil, the coolant return lines, just to make sure, but this is looking really good so far, because it means we've basically flushed out everything from the system. And if I didn't drain the torque converter, like some people don't drain, I wouldn't have got nowhere near as much fluid. Okay, so we're up to basically the last bit, and I know it's a little bit dark in here. Hopefully you can bear with me. But what I've come up with is another high-tech piece of equipment. This is just a hose, just a bit of rubber hose that I've put in the hard line. You can see it up in there. I've plugged it in. It's not cable tied in or anything. I've just pushed it inside the hard line, and then you can see the return line on the other side of the video screen in here. Hopefully you can see that. All I'm going to do is put this tube in my mouth and blow air into it, and we're going to flush out. We're going to flush out whatever fluid's left. This is about as DIY as it gets, and it shows that you don't need any fancy equipment. So here we go. There you go, guys. You can do it all day, but that's basically it. It's all it's doing is blowing air through the hard lines, through the transmission oil cooler up the front of the car, and then back around in the circuit. And there's probably another 1 or 2 cups of fluid. So this is an update now, guys. This is everything that's been flushed out of the system. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's just under the 1 litre mark. It's about 900 mils, or 0.9 of a litre. And the bucket, you can see the marking on the bucket, there's 9 litres there. So all up, I've evacuated pretty much 10 litres of ATF from the fluid. And that's from the transmission pan, the torque converter, and connecting up that hose to the return line and the cooling line, and blowing out what else was in the return line. So all up, there's 10 litres approximately in the system. So if we replenish with 10 litres, that's a good starting point. Okay guys, so I've basically I've redone the O-rings on the cooler lines. I've replaced the torque converter plug with a fresh plug and tightened that up. The next thing for me to do is just to quickly tidy up around in here with brake cleaner. It's a pretty straightforward job. I've just put down some plastic sheet and some rags to catch any mess that might come down, but this is one of the last steps before putting the transmission pan back on. We've just got our clean parts, our retaining headers, we've just got our clean sump, and I've put the new gasket on there. I've renewed the crush washer on the sump plug, so that's kept in plastic and that's clean, ready to go. We've got our clean parts in here. You see I've just fitted the new filter. It's surprising how the filter just clicks into place, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing special going on there. And I've cleaned up around the base of the transmission there. So all this will just go back together with the new bolts, the new hardware we have in here. And once we put it back together, then we can start filling her up with fluid. Right, so there we go. We've fitted the 6 bolts. We've fitted the crush washer and the drain plug. The return lines have the O-rings. The torque converter has a new plug. Everything's pretty clean and tidy. Everything's had a good wipe down. We're just about ready to fill it up with fluid and take it to the next step. When you're putting the pan back on, don't forget the other little things that need to be done, such as the cabling in here, and there's a little heat shield around on the other side that needs to be reattached, but they're just little things that you just have to remember. Don't forget the magnet, of course. We know that the magnet is on the other side of here, up in here. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly show you guys this. I was talking about it before. When you put this cross member back in, it is pretty big, and it's kind of heavy. And like I've got here, I've just got it supported on the bucket on one side, and it just acts like an extra pair of hands. Just makes the job a lot easier. So you can see here I've got the bolts. Why I do up the bolts on this side here, just to keep everything square and in place. You just support it on a bucket or something like that, or just find something to just stand it up on, because it is quite heavy. You don't want it to fall on top of you. So that's just another quick tip that you can use. Alright, so the cross member is back in to support the transmission, and all our parts are back together now. So you can really see the difference it makes by actually taking the time to remove that cross member. You can really see the difference it makes by keeping things clean and tidy. Just made the job a lot more easier and a lot more satisfying. But we've really got the first part out of the way. The next part is to fill her up with oil, and then we've got to check the levels with the temperature. But this is just a quick video of the dipstick covering tube and the locking pin. I think you can just see it here. You can see it's just like a lock and key system. This is the old one that's been snapped off, and it's just a simple plug with an O-ring. Even if you want, you could renew the O-ring or replace it. I didn't in this case. Not too much of a big deal, not too critical. But yeah, this is just a quick look of what this part looks like, and it's even got the part number on there, Mercedes Benz workshop only. So this is the dipstick cover, and this pin, I think it cost me $3 from Mercedes Benz, so it's not breaking the budget or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is push that old one out and replace it with the new one to seal it off, and that's pretty much that simple job done. So it's off to filling up the transmission with around 10 litres of oil now. Okay, this is just quickly looking at the transmission underneath the car. I'm under the driver's side, the right hand side of the vehicle, and where I've marked there with the yellow dot, this is just for interest's sake. That's where the dipstick enters the transmission to measure the fluid level from the engine bay. So I can't follow, I don't know if you can see that line that follows all the way up to the engine bay, but this is the entry point for where the meter long dipstick enters the transmission. So what I'm going to do is take it for a long drive. I'll get it up to 90 degrees, then bring it back down to 70 degrees, 75 degrees, check the temperature, and then bring it down to 35 degrees and check the temperature again, and the oil and the ATF levels, and we'll see what we go from here. But